Hey guys, SoCal Val here. You are listening to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast.
Welcome everybody back to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. No, you can't see two Fionas. Her laptop wasn't having sound. She's joined on her phone. So the fee that you see on the bottom of the screen is blank. It's her laptop where she tried to join. But she is here. She's on my left-hand side. Hello, Fiona.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. It's bloody hot.
It's roasting up in Scotland. I'd just like the world to know that. We don't get hot up here. I am melting today. It's lovely.
It is. In England, just for our international viewers, we moan when it's hot, we moan when it's cold. It's very rare that we get days
Never
like
happy.
Yeah, we're never happy. It is very rare that we get days like this where it's absolutely boiling hot, but it absolutely is today. But anyway, NWA, as we mentioned, ushered in a new era at NWA 75, and they started their first episode of Powerr, aired on Tuesday. Apologies for yesterday. Blood tests and God knows what else. I was
just life, basically. But we're here now, and that's what matters. That's the important part.
We are. One of the takes I'm going to take away from this episode, Fee, was promo heavy.
Very much so.
Yeah,
very much so.
Case of kind of resetting the bar, realigning it with the new champions.
Yeah.
So it was very promo heavy. But anyway, the first video package was very nice, though, wasn't it, at the start?
It was great. It kicked off the show quite spectacularly. I really enjoyed it. It was kind of the whole, like we talk about, the whole new era and ushering in a whole new group of champions, apart from Tom, because he's the only one that retained. Yes.
He's the only one that retained, with a big yes from Fiona. Will he decide to take that option to go to EC3? Did say a little bit about that. We'll get into that. Anyway, after the first start, we saw Max the Impaler and the Sinister Minister kick off the show against Taylor Rising. It was a typical Max the Impaler match, really, wasn't it?
It was. Max was their usual dominant self. That's pretty much all you really need to know about it. I like Taylor. I like what I'm seeing of Taylor. I think she's going to be a really, really good fit with the women's division in NWA. But I can't see past Max. They are just so strong, so powerful, so dominating that I think they are going to be fairly unstoppable.
Maybe a while before she drops that title. However, after the match, she did start laying into Taylor again, which brought out Markova.
I know. Interesting that Markova almost has come out to kind of save Taylor. I didn't think she had a lot of allies in NWA. You saw in the last season when she tagged with Pretty and Power, they were kind of like, it was almost a mean girls, you can't sit with us sort of thing. Yeah, that was interesting. Maybe a little alliance forming there.
Yeah, so you can already see perhaps the first challenger for the Max the Impaler's title in Markova.
Yeah, very much so. Be interesting. It was a
Essentially.
great start to the show. It was only a 6:05 limit, but that's fine by me. I don't think Taylor could have lasted much longer, to be honest with you.
If she did, it would have probably caused her more trouble than what it's worth.
Yeah.
In one of the first promos, the Sinister Minister himself, the good old Jim Mitchell, I can't remember. I think if I even remember growing up as a kid, he was there, and he hasn't aged.
He's been around for such a long time. he's great. He gives me the fear. He actually kind of, I'm always a little bit when I see him. He is very sinister. Hence his name, obviously.
And it would be apt that he announces that NWA, I think it's called Sam Hain. Now, this is down as the most...
Samhain. It's the next pay-per-view. It's named after the pagan kind of harvest festival that's originated from Ireland in something like the 9th century BC or something like that. So it's kind of become associated with Halloween, particularly in America, but it's a pagan name, Samhain.
Okay, I didn't know that, and I totally pronounced that name wrong. So every time we have to announce that pay-per-view name, that'll be your job. But it's going to be the most violent and deadly pay-per-view in NWA history on October the 28th. That doesn't well.
Yeah. I'm intrigued.
Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do. Maybe you should fly out there, Fee, and
Do you know what? I actually considered it, but I have bookings that weekend already, so no can do. It's out in Cleveland, Ohio, if anyone does want to go. And as far as I know, the tickets go on sale on Friday at noon.
So don't hesitate. Go to, I suppose it'd be the NWA, right?
NWAtix.com. You will get your tickets from there. But yeah, Samhain, October 28th.
I'm never
I
going to
look forward to I look forward to seeing what the season kind of how the season develops and what it's going to bring to the pay-per-view.
Why do I have a feeling the clowns are going to be involved in that?
Because it's Halloween, and why would you not dress up as a clown at Halloween?
And the gimp.
Killer clowns and all that jazz. So
and maybe the gimp. Gaza. Is it Gaza? Yeah. Maybe we'll have some more gag reflex on we come closer to
Stop it.
As we come closer to that show. I don't know, but it Stop sounds. I'll be good. It's these tablets. See, it's going to be a bit of a. I've never known it. Well, you hear about these violent and deadly pay-per-views, and some of them don't live up to expectation. But I have a feeling this is going to. I don't know why.
I think violence is probably, yeah. I think you've got Max.
Yeah.
You've got the Southern Six, who, quite frankly, they don't really. I think they're just out for gunning for blood, basically wanting some titles back or more titles. You've got EC3, who's probably going to try and hold on to that belt for as long as he possibly can.
Yeah.
You've got Pretty Empowered, who hold the women's tag team belts and the women's world championship. They're not going to give them up easily either.
Nope.
Tom Latimer, I don't think he's going to want to give his title up easier, but then you've got challengers that all want a shot and want to go. So I reckon it's going to be fairly full on.
It will be interesting, as I say, as we count down. They've got about 6 weeks, 7 weeks, something like that.
Thereabouts, yeah.
Yeah,
so
thereabouts. 6 or 7 weeks. I think I'm meeting Eddie Kingston that weekend.
Oh, nice.
I can't wait. I'm big Eddie. Sorry, I'm segueing. I'm a big Eddie Kingston fan. Anyway, let's move on. Blunt Force Trauma, another promo, was next with our good buddy Aaron Stevens.
I love him as a manager. I love him
Brilliant.
on the microphone. He's just. I wasn't too sure initially about him. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I love this version of Aaron. I am not going to try and do the blunt force trauma that he does because I won't do it proud. I love it. It just
maybe I'll give it a go next week. Maybe I'll have to do some
when you're feeling better.
Yeah, I'll try again. I'll try and do it next week. I'll start my practicing. He's so good though. I mean, even when he was in WWE, when he was mimicking Miz, was absolutely outstanding. So he's definitely one of these most underrated cats. We always say a lot of NWA talent on there's got a lot of underrated about the sort of the bigger name talent that we not say that we know, but that we've seen around the circuit or the industry. And he's one of those guys that I loved when he was in WWE. Anyway, he was just he was such a character, and he's taken that with him with this, and he's basically just gone with it, and it's really works. And
it's working so well.
Yeah, I love the guy. I think he's great. They basically were just promoting themselves and about
absolutely, and why not?
And why not? They were tag team. They won the tag team championships at NWA 75. They were basking in their glory, as Keith Lee would say. And will be interesting to see who's the first lot of people that will come up against.
Challenge. Yeah, now, absolutely.
One of those teams it won't be, and I thought we'd mention it because we did see this the other day, is the Country Gentleman. It will not. It will maybe another alliteration of the Country Gentleman, but it won't be the Country Gentleman because Anthony Andrews and NWA have seemingly parted ways.
Not on bad terms by the looks of things.
No.
Anthony Andrews posted a very public statement basically saying he'd asked for a contract. They weren't able to give it to him earlier on in the year, and he asked again, and again they weren't able to give it to him, and they've just agreed to part ways. So Anthony Andrews is no longer with NWA, no longer part of the Country Gentlemen. But I do know from people that were there at the tapings that the Country Gentlemen are still moving on, just with a new member who I am not 100% certain who it is, because I asked for no spoilers.
Yes, and we wouldn't. And I've been in trouble on this channel before for giving away spoilers. Not that I actually know, I have no clue who it is. But that's hence why I said another alliteration of the Country Gentleman. But I do not know who it is. But
AJ Kazana's still there doing his thing.
AJ is still our good buddy AJ, whose birthday it was when he entertained us for a while
in his car to Florida.
Yeah, it was fantastic, and he said he'd come back on because he said he owes us one with a better background. So we'll get that eventually.
Absolutely, I hold him to that.
Another one that and this was because I was literally talking to you before we kicked off the show. Another one that's sort of interesting that's come out and said that he's now available for bookings, and I don't know what that means to his contract. Is Chris Masters?
Yeah,
tweeted out. Go on.
No, I was going to say, like, he's tweeted out that he's available for bookings. I'm not sure. Does Chris have a contract with NWA? So I don't actually know if he is one of the contracted roster members or not. But if you're watching this and you have a show and you have a spot, I would book Chris, honestly. I've known him for a number of years. He used to come over to the UK fairly regularly when he left WWE. I used to see him down at Preston at PCW. Phenomenal talent, lovely guy. Great with the fans, great in the ring, great on the mic. So yeah, book Chris Masters / Adonis.
Yes, book him. And Chris, if you're watching, check your emails, buddy. I have slipped into your DMs or slid into your DMs about coming on here. So it'd be great to have you on to talk, not just NWA, but for you in general. It'd be great to have you on. So if you are watching, check your emails and get back to me. Anyway, enough plugging of the show. We'll move on. We've got a tag match next. The Immortals, Kratos and Odinson. Come on, Adam.
Kratos and Odinson.
You're going to just have to take this away. Normally it's Japanese names that I struggle with, but now it's even the normal names. Anyway, they managed to defeat the Outrunners. I got that one right. See, and the Outrunners. I love the Outrunners. They are tremendous. But another big win. And moving up this tag team ladder, the Immortals now.
Yeah.
They've got to be there or thereabouts, haven't they?
Oh, I would have thought so. Definitely, they've had a good couple of wins now. Again, they're quite a dominating kind of strong team. I like them as a pair, and obviously when we first get introduced to Kratos with the NWA, it was with Powerr.
Yep.
But now I like this combination of Odinson and Kratos. I think it's an interesting tag team. Obviously they tagged during the Crockett Cup this year.
They did.
And it's obviously worked well for them, and I'm sure there's an agenda in there somewhere, just not too sure what right now.
Indeed, and it'll be interesting. As I say, they've got to be there or thereabouts. And then again, I think you know what I think the Outrunners deserve a little squeak as well, even though they lost on this occasion. They're great.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed that match actually. It was a fun tag match.
It was a fun tag match, and I like the Outrunners. So, Biddy, if you're watching, give him a shot at the title. Probably isn't going to watch, but if he does, give him a shot. Anyway, we're doing a lot of plugging of people watching our show on this. Zicky Dice.
Oh, Zicky, so good to have him back.
Is back. He come back at 75. He's now, it looks as if he's back. I think he was on AEW as well. He was.
He's just popping up all over the place.
He's popping up like a whitehead on a teenager, isn't he? He's he really is. I love Zicky though. I
love Zicky. Obviously, former TV champion. Was it TV champion?
Yes, because he's mentioned it.
And he's also announced his match that he's got next week, the 4-way for a #1 contender match. I think.
Yeah, that's exactly what he said. He said he's come back because he left something that belonged to him in the NWA. He never got the reign that he deserved. He's worked himself into a shoot where 2 4-man matches will determine the contender for his.
Only Zicky could do that. So next week we're looking at Zicky versus Dak Draper versus our friend Gags and Dice. So that'll be fun.
Oh my word. Gags is back next week, folks. So be prepared for some, interesting shenanigans with Gags being back next week. But it was only one four-way announced next week, right?
There was, yeah, and that was with so it was the four of them, and it was Sam Laterna, obviously, who's there for this season, with
Yes.
me unfortunately being out. I thought Sam did well for
Yeah.
a kind of first outing on the show and stuff. I quite like her, but I miss May, so I hope you're back soon, May.
Yeah, and I've got Gags and a four-way. Well
Stop
done.
it.
This is really
I'm
turning
going to
into
ban you from saying things like that.
it needs to get sorted out. I mean, that's just ridiculous. No children can watch the show. I'll make sure before it goes out. Anyway, let's move on quickly. Pretty Empowered were next, and they just again. We talked about how the blunt force trauma were blowing their smoke. Pretty Empowered were doing a good job of that this week, and they were talking about having gone.
No, I was just going to say, and rightly so.
And rightly
so.
They have all the gold at the moment.
They have all the gold indeed. I like them on the mic. I like their attitude. I like their sassiness. They're young. They're hungry. They want to take over. They pretty much are taking over.
They are taking over.
So yeah, I stop and I listen when they talk. Basically,
they are definitely the NWA's mean girls, aren't they?
Oh, completely.
You got them spot on when you said that. But they did say that they may have to host a costume contest. What was the pay-per-view name, Fee?
Samhain.
Thank you. And it doesn't matter. And Kenzie was saying it doesn't matter who wants to challenge her because she's in control. We didn't have a women's match. We did have at the start. Sorry, we did have a women's match at the start, but we didn't really have anything where we were guessing who could be next for Kenzie, or first, shall we say, for Kenzie in her reign. So I'm guessing next week that will become a bit more clear, or the week after, because NWA do a great job of blocking things as well. They don't it's not always one thing. They do a combination of different things every week, which leads to the pay-per-view, which is nice because it isn't same old. It's every week is something different. From NWA.
Well and truly. Keep you guessing. That's the name of the game.
That is it. That is very much it. Next was Bradley Pierce against Rolando Freeman. Now, this is where you're going to have to maybe help me out here. I don't recall seeing. I may have seen one of the two of these, but I can't quite.
So Rolando's been in and out for a long time. Rolando, at the tapings after Nuff Said, which is in February when I was out in Tampa, the tapings there, Rolando had a no holds barred street match with Aaron that they kicked each other all over the TV studios all around the world. Rolando and Brady have been part of the Spectaculars along with Rush Freeman together. So I'm a little bit confused. I mean, I'm wondering if I've missed something, how Brady and Rolando have wound up fighting against each other.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what I have missed, obviously. But it was a good singles match. I quite enjoyed it. Rolando was proper golden Brady at the start, just like, but for such a small man of stature, Rolando can go sometimes. He really can. And he's got a big heart and will fight until he has got nothing left in him.
And he was unlucky.
He was Brady Pierce off the top rope, and a big elbow drop for the win on that one.
Another thing that I like, and we've seen it a little bit in AEW, but another thing that I like about NWA is the old school finishers are coming back in, and a top rope elbow drop for the 1, 2, 3. I know in other ones like AEW, we're now seeing the double clothesline and things like that coming back in, but NWA have done a great job of like bringing back these old school finishers, and it's not. Sometimes you see a finisher and you think on the line of that's a dangerous move to hit, because I mean, look, any move can really harm anybody if it's not executed right or the timing's wrong. But NWA do a great job of bringing back those sort of old school finish, not to a degree, safe finishers.
Yeah, nothing too spectacular, nothing too wow.
Yeah.
But old school, hard hitting, it's going to knock you off your feet and be enough for you to not get up for the 3. Basically.
Exactly. One of those things. That's one of the things when we had Jake Roberts on, and he was like, one of the things that annoyed him more was the fact that everyone kicks out of DDT nowadays.
Yeah.
But when he done it in the 80s and the 90s, it was
like no one did. That was
No.
it. It was game over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good on NWA for bringing back the old finishers. I like it. I like.
Absolutely.
Another interview at this at that was God, another name. Right.
Kolaxamana.
Thank you. Thank you. Previews his match next week where he teams with Kobe against Homicide.
This is going to be hilarious. So
and Joe Alonso.
Yeah, so Koa and Kobe against Joe Alonso and Homicide. How Alonso and Homicide are going to work in harmony with each other is beyond me. I have a funny feeling that this might descend into chaos.
Whatever gives you that idea.
I'm a Homicide, basically. And Ricky Morton's refereeing.
My goodness.
How I have that'll be interesting.
No words. I think still.
Yeah.
Ricky Morton.
I think all I really need to say about that match is like tune in and watch it. It's going to be interesting.
Tune in on in the UK 11:05 next Tuesday. If you want to stay up and watch it like Fiona does, I tend to watch it the morning after. The tablets I'm on do send me to sleep quite early, so I'm generally in the land of nod by then. But I do watch it the next day, so I do. But yeah, tune in for that match. It's got the makings of being absolute chaos, that one. So
yeah, it'll be interesting. You think Colby's there?
Yeah,
Ricky's.
Well, Ricky, and considering Kobe beat Kerry,
I half expecting a little Kerry appearance at some point.
Maybe.
But something makes me think that Alonso and Homicide are just they're gonna turn on each other.
Just to make people know, Homicide and Alonso were against each other in WA 75, and next week
Alonso won.
And Rolando did win. We did cover. We did mention that, and they're teaming next week.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that one, actually. Yes. I really am. I think, from what I know that's going on next week, from what they've already told us, that's definitely my one to watch for next week. At the moment.
At the moment, yeah, we don't quite know everything for next week, but we know a couple of bits, and that is definitely the one to watch. One of the EC3 was next, and one of the things EC3, I mean, he's good at pretty much everything, but his promo skills are pretty much one of the best, and he's still one of the best in the business at cutting a promo. And I'm going to read a little bit. So he said that it's time for a new era. The Overman era has begun. The Overman doesn't wrestle matches. He delivers Greek tragedies. And I think he mentioned that he gave Tyrus a perfect ending or a perfect retirement. But he vows to defend the title all over the world and beyond and on Mars. And he wants to be the greatest world champion of all time. But then at the end, he called out Tom Latimer. Now, is that happening next week? Do we know?
Yes, it is. I had a quick glance at my notes. It is, yes, next week.
Next week, there you go, if you've got any reason to watch it.
But the question is, does Tom, I suppose if EC3 is called the match, it doesn't count as Tom cashing in on his...
No, I don't think so.
His cashing in on his belt, so that'll be interesting.
Or did he goad him into it so he does? He has to. I don't know, because he's not been said, so I don't know.
Yeah, so Tom's not responded to it. We haven't heard from Tom, so... I think it might be next week. That's presuming that Tom accepts the challenge and decides to go for it.
And that's if he accepts it and then has to drop the title. Then do the fatal four ways become winner? The two winners go against each other for that title at that pay-per-view that I can't pronounce. That's it. I'm never going to do it. That is if you have one job for the next 6 weeks, is pronouncing that.
Like every now and again, I'll just like Samhain.
That's it.
That's it. I'll say nothing else.
You will need to do that. Anyway, moving on. Main event time. The Southern Six: Kerry, Morton, Alex Taylor, Thrillbilly, Silas Mason. No Poyo. Nothing about Poyo since the. I know she's been busy on social media.
Yeah.
she hasn't returned to NWA yet. Anyway, they defeated the Fixers. I love the Fixers. LLC. I was getting to that. In the main event, and what was a great old school 6-man tag.
Yeah. And I love the fact that obviously Jay Bradley wasn't there. So it was Wrecking Ball Legursky plus the Fixer and the Fixer. And I love the fact that Joe and Tony the whole way through the commentary was just like, and it's a big drop kick by the Fixer. So I actually have no idea who Fixer 1 and Fixer 2 are actually were. So
no,
it was a fun match. I like watching Legursky. He's a big lad, but he's always entertaining. Always entertaining. And I hate to say it, but even though they're arrogant so-and-sos, I am beginning to really enjoy watching the Southern Six together.
They are a very unique unit, aren't they?
They are. They're 3 very different gentlemen, 3 different styles, different statures. Yeah, they work really, really well together, the 3 of them.
They do. Kerry just reminds me of like a throwback, he's old man, like a throwback old school wrestler, even with his look, the hair, the attire. You know, he just reminds me of an 80s style wrestler, a bit like, you can say, well, his dad was probably in the 70s, but just like his dad in a lot of ways. But topical old school. And then you got Silas Mason, who you'd probably see sort of somewhere. Where's the sort of where's it no, not Virginia. It's not.
He's South. He's a big Southern lad, basically.
Boy,
he is a big Southern boy. I'm not sure if it's Tennessee that he's from. I've got no idea. But Silas is, to me, NWA.
Oh, yes.
When I think of NWA, I think of people of Silas's size and stature and just whole general vibe. So if there's one person on that roster right now that screams NWA at me, it's Silas Mason. Absolutely, without a doubt.
It is, and it was a great 6-man to end. So, but now, Fiona, I was talking to Rachel, my other half, yesterday, and I sat there and I went, this is not NWA related. We've seen them their way. We're going to finish on NWA in a minute with our thoughts of the whole first episode. But I was sitting to Rachel yesterday and I went, Jesus, it's 3 weeks to the day yesterday until we meet you, your Inside the Ropes team, and a certain Mr. Controversy who you're going to be driving around with your heart's going to be palpitating like mine did in the hospital.
I know.
Mr. Eric Bischoff, you'll be seeing. We will all be seeing in a couple of weeks, but that is creeped up on us very, very quickly.
I know, it's exciting. I can't wait.
It's going to be an awesome. Tickets still available, Fee? Don't know.
Yeah, there's still limited tickets. I think they're disappearing fast. I'm not sure on the VIP ones, but there is still general admission. Inside the Ropes, itrtix.com.
itrtix.com. I will say this: 229, where I'm going in London for this show, is a fantastic venue.
It's a great venue.
I was there Sunday. For the good old Rev Pro guys. Met Paige's brother. I have to say thanks to Zach. Actually, he clocked me and went straight over to me and was obviously asking bits and pieces, but about my health and stuff. But it was so nice that he come over to me and had that conversation. So I did want to just shout out Zach. I haven't shouted him out all week on this show, but I wanted to give him a shout out today because it was nice of him and Ricky to come over and obviously there was a couple of others, Connor Mills and Wild Boar Hitchman.
I like Wild Boar.
I couldn't believe that guy is 33 years old.
Yeah.
It was only when he come out after he fought and he had his teeth in and his hair done right. You know what I mean? Because when he comes out, he's got this scraggly hair. I think he's either got a gum shield or he's got like 3/4 of his teeth missing. And like you think, oh my God, he's about 40 odd. But then he comes out to go to the bar and he's like, when you have these
like a different person.
When you have these makeover programs when they go in and they come out later and they're a totally different guy. Because Rachel was like, that's Wild Boar. And I was like, no, it's not. I thought,
that's funny.
He's looks can be deceiving. He's a super nice guy. And he was great. But I had to get in. Yeah, 229 ITR in a couple of weeks. But Fiona, how busy are you coming up?
I'm off this weekend again, which is lovely. Next weekend, next Friday, I'm in Larbert with Premier British Wrestling. We've got a big show over there, which will be great. And the weekend after that, I am with Pro Wrestling Scotland. And then the weekend after that is Wow. No,
Well,
in fact, the weekend after that, the weekend after PBW this weekend, no, PBW next weekend, the weekend after that, Pro Wrestling Scotland, and then on the road. So with Eric and Inside the Ropes. So that's
with
fun.
Eric and Inside the Ropes will be fun. So I'm going to really run down Sunday. We interview one of the guys that, you know, when you go back and you look at, he's had a 30-year career in the WWE, well, WWE, WWF, and it's the Brooklyn Brawler. I'll be speaking to him on Sunday, Steve Lombardi, about his
Nice.
amazing
That's
career.
cool.
And on Wednesday, when you talk British wrestling royalty and you talk the legends, and you know who I'm talking about here, Fee.
Of
We
course I do.
have the one, the only gentleman, Doug Williams, joining us on the show next week for a chat. I believe it's Wednesday.
Love Doug.
We couldn't believe
An
it.
NWA, former NWA tag team champion, no less.
No less, as we're on this show, NWA, we're talking about NWA champions, a tag team champion. He'll be on. We are unbelievably blessed that he agreed to come on. So we can't wait for that, and we really do thank him. But anyway, just after that, before we wrap up and give our final thoughts on the NWA first show, 17th, I haven't got a show, but I've got a little thing called a title that's being decided at Ignite Wrestle Pro. We've had a little bit of a problem this week. We have a little bit of problem this week, but we've sorted out. Unfortunately, one of the tag teams that were due to be on the show, Act 2, got a massive booking for GCW on the same day, and you can't really allow talent not to get that opportunity for a big on a big stage for a big company. So unfortunately, they had to pull out of the tag team match that was going on that show. But nevertheless, we have one of the Rebellion, Taylor James, will be going against one half of Sunshine Machine. Yes, we managed to get one of them. TK will be coming along from Sunshine Machine to go against Taylor. So that is a bit changed to the card. It has been announced. So that will be happening. We can't wait for that. And yes, hitting the Turnbuckle Championship will be decided in a three-way match between George London, Lance Rivera, and Smashing Mike will contest the title. There's plenty of other matches on the card. Gene Money returns against Corey McRae for the Ignite Heavyweight Championship. I have an issue with, Mark True has an issue with me, apparently, to do with this Turnbuckle Championship, but he will be going against Nino Bryant for. The winner will get an opportunity for a title, and I hope that Mark doesn't win that match because I can't stand the little boy. But he apparently is going to have a word with me on the 17th, so perhaps that will be on the channel after that. Maybe we will get that recorded. But anyway, thoughts of the first show. Fiona, first week, promo heavy, but sets the standard to where we're going to be going over the next few weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. Great matches, great promos. They very much promoted the fact that there was new production and everything.
Oh, we didn't mention
that
that.
was
What a great bit
that
of
was
production
very,
that was.
that was very evident. Slightly new style of studio,
Yeah.
new style of podium, new style of entrances for the
Style,
rings.
full stop.
Yeah, NWA have been very non-musical. If you've watched the previous seasons, you'll know they come through the curtain and there's no music, and it's generally to and fro with the audience and stuff like that. Huge change this year for that. Huge change this season. They've got like a proper entranceway now and not just a random curtain in the studio. They've got the rig set up. The flags are all still there. It wouldn't be NWA without the flags. So the flags are all still there. But the wrestlers are coming out to a kind of fairly highly produced kind of little entrance. I don't know what word I'm looking for, but they're coming out to a little bit of generic, I want to say generic rock.
Generic rock, yeah, that's the word.
Personally, not a fan. I think it's possibly because it's new to me and I was a bit kind of taken aback by it. It might grow on me. Right now, I'm kind of like, it's a no for me. But again, it might just be something that I need to get used to. I think particularly when the likes of the Southern Six were coming out, the music's playing over them and you can see them shouting stuff at the camera and you can't hear it because the music's playing. Whereas before you could hear them shouting and getting riled up and you can hear the response from the audience. So that was a little bit of a no for me, but I've seen loads of comments from people who are loving it. They're saying it's very 80s, very old SmackDown or N64 style.
Yeah.
And people are loving it. At the moment, it's just, I'll get used to it.
We'll get used to it. Yes, that is the matter of that. I'm okay with it. Again, as you say, give it a couple of weeks. But the production side of it, massive change. It looks so much
absolutely
better.
Absolutely.
Love the new production changes. I know that must have cost Billy a small fortune. So it looked really good. We love that. But that was the first week. It was eventful as ever. It was entertaining as ever. And I'll leave
Great start to the season.
A great start to the season. We say that in football over here. If you win a couple of games, you have a great start to the season. But we will leave you with the thought of next week with gags. Next week. That will be the last bit you'll hear. Well, that will be the last of this episode of the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast, our NWA Powerr edition. We will be back next week to we will review that very match next week ourselves. You're praying that he doesn't win already. I know that you're praying that he doesn't win, especially with that move. I'm not going to say because I'm hoping to say it next week. And I will practice my blunt force trauma. I'll give it a go next week if I can do any.
I'll never be able to do it justice. I don't know, just said if you heard it, I'm just not going there.
I can just about do the Roman Reigns from Paul Heyman the way he says it. So that if I can get anywhere close to blunt force trauma, I'll be good. But she is the lovely, remarkable Fiona Locker, and I have been your host, Adam Cousins. And until next week on the NWA Powerr, guys, buckle down, stay safe, goodbye.